Okay, fingers crossed. Let's try this again. Okay, fingers crossed. Let's try this again. I am going to, for now, forego the slideshow and just run through it. So if I don't get to the slideshow, I had all these juicy, beautiful slides. And it is a learning curve for me doing this on Facebook as opposed to Zoom. So if I don't get the slideshow up during this training, just bear with me. I can get you the file so you actually have it in your hands because there's a lot of really good juiciness in there. But I digress. So aside from the clunky start, I'm so glad you're here to really dive into the nuances and the specifics around attracting your exact right clients into your world. A lot of times I hear people talk about your ideal client, and I'm here to tell you that you are not beholden to ideal. Once you start thinking about and speaking to and being in the world of exact right clients, your work improves, their results improve. You start attracting even more of the exact right people, and it's just a win-win-win for everybody. The reason I created this specific training is because I've heard from people again and again and again at all different stages of their business that they're just really frustrated and feeling like it's kind of a slog and a little bit of a time suck, and they're just not feeling like they're speaking to exactly who they want to speak to and attracting exactly who they want to attract. And so, since this is such a common problem and it's fixable, I thought, well, why don't we just go ahead and fix that? So, we're going to dive into three main parts of this training today. For housekeeping purposes, I'll let you know I'll probably have you here about an hour ish. If you need to scoot, the replay will be available for 1 week from today. So, the 29th of February, the video will be taken down, but you have some time to come back and really implement and dive in even deeper to the content we're going to cover today. If you're here with me live, let me know you're here. I try to run these similar to, we got some people here, yay. Similar to Nicole's here. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Jennifer. Yay, it's so nice to see you all here. Chris is here. Awesome. So, what I'm going to try to do is pay attention to the comments section. So, similar to any sort of Zoom training, if you have questions in the moment, just pop them in the comments. I will try to check in. If I don't get to them live on this training, I certainly will come back and answer anything that's coming up for you or coming alive for you as we go. So, the before we dive into anything else, I want you to understand this so clearly that the key to attracting your exact right clients is deeply understanding your exact right clients. And I'm not talking about the kind of understanding, the superficial, like, well, she probably goes to yoga 2 times a week and she drives a Range Rover. She's 35 to 45. None of that is what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about what is the calling on their soul? What is the fear that they have that remains unspoken? What are these sort of more internal pieces of the puzzle going on that are going to have your exact right client saying like, holy cow, how did he get into my head? How do they know this about me? And oh my gosh, it's so true. And that sort of sense of deep understanding and safety, and just being held and seen and witnessed is so important for anybody who's in a buying process. So that's the very first thing I want you to know, that to attract them, you have to deeply understand them. And we're going to be talking about ways you can do that. You're going to have action steps you can take today. There's like a ton you can implement through this process. But before we go any further, that knowledge has to sink in for you that to attract them, you must deeply understand them. Excuse me. You're going to see me looking down because I have my the printout that I wanted to share with you. So I have it over here to make sure I stay consistent and in order, because there's so much I want to tell you and I don't want to fire hose you today. So a lot of times people are seeing these, like the trickiness of getting their business where they want it to be, or if you've had it where you want it to be and you're pivoting and you know that there's just something different calling for you. The ways that people try to tackle this are like addressing their sales process, addressing their lead gen, addressing their audience size, just trying to grow a bigger audience. And my answer for all of that is it's very similar to when you're sick and you take cough syrup, right? Which is ironic because I'm coughing a lot today. But it's so similar, right? It might sort of calm the symptoms down a little bit, but none of it is getting to the root. So addressing your sales, addressing your lead gen, addressing your audience size, all of those things are great and fine and wonderful and grand when and only when you have a deep, clear understanding of your exact right client. So if you're with me so far with that, if you feel me here, let me know in the comments. Yay, Peggy's here too. Awesome. Okay, so the very first thing, I want this to start off like, let's just get grounded in how important your message is in the world. If you've worked with me one-on-one, if you've done any training with me, you know that I'm going to talk about your energy. I'm going to talk about what state you are in when you bring your message to the table because it matters so much. And what we're going to do today before we get into any of the specifics about messaging is I just want to walk you through a really quick process where you're going to tune into the frequency of your soul message. If that language doesn't vibrate with you, that's fine. It could just be like the big message that you were here to share. The reason that you're even doing this work in the first place, when, let's face it, it would be way easier to go out and get a 9 to 5. But there's some reason, some calling on your heart that you cannot do that and you keep showing up again and again. And I want to help you tune into that and really lean into that frequency. So the way we're going to do that, you don't have to do anything if you are here with me live. Even if you're watching on the replay, just let yourself get cozy. It's going to take like 2 or 3 minutes. It's nothing crazy, but it's very powerful. And I'm going to have you just go ahead and shut your eyes down. Take a deep breath in. We're going to start to really slow the breath down. And again, this process is to help you really lean into and amplify that frequency that only you have, that message that only you have. So take another big breath in. Let's breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the nose. And just do that one more time, really slowing the breath down. I want you to picture in an old car that had the old tuning radio that you would dial it by hand, the knob that you turn, and picture yourself at a lower station, tuning into a lower station. The number doesn't matter. Maybe it's the 90s, maybe it's 100. But just starting to arrive here and noticing what it's like to feel like you're just at a station that's off. It's different. It's not quite what you were looking for. It's not quite what makes you feel alive. The tunes it's spitting out just don't land right for you. Once you've got your starting place, you're just going to slowly turn that dial. Keep turning it nice and slow. As you start to get closer and closer, the frequency starts to come through. You start to get a few clues that you're getting closer to the station you're looking for. The music cuts in and cuts out. But you know you're heading in the right direction, so you keep tuning into that frequency. And eventually you land in the exact right station, the exact spot, that sweet spot that you were looking for, where the music comes through, it's vibrant, it's clear. It's perfect for you. And as you find that spot, notice just in your mind's eye, notice what the number is. You're going to hold on to this number as a energetic reminder for how to tune into this station anytime you feel like your message is off or your frequency is off or you're close but you're not quite where you know you want to be. So we're going to take just a moment here and really let yourself bask in this station that's unique to you, noticing the number where you've landed. Maybe a little tiny smile starts to pop up on your face because you know this is exactly for you. And whenever you're ready, just start to wiggle around, maybe move your head side to side, open up your eyes as you come back into the room. And we start to prepare from this new energetic, super tuned in place to dive into your exact right future clients. I'll give you a second to get caught up here. Check out the comments. It's so nice to see all of you here today. What a gift this is. Okay, so you have reacclimated. Here you are tuned in, you're turned on to the message you were here to share. So we're gonna dive into the truth that most people, most business owners have a blind spot. And that blind spot is that they believe they know their ideal client much better than they actually do. I say that with pure love. There's no judgment. We've all been there. But there's just such a huge blind spot. And for example, and this is part of what we work through in Premium Messaging Made Simple, but these are questions that when you know your ideal client like the back of your hand, exact right clients, and you know them so deeply, you're going to be able to answer questions like these without any sort of pause and with so much clarity. Questions like, what is she feeling inside her body? What does his or her social circle look like? Because that matters in your messaging. What fears do they have that go unspoken? Again, that process of like, how did she know? How did he know that that's what's happening internally for me? What do other providers not understand about your exact right client? And here's a huge one. What stage of change is your exact right client is? Are they in? Is it pre-contemplation? Is it contemplation? Are they moving toward action? These are all things that you should be able to understand about your client. It doesn't matter what kind of car they drive. It is irrelevant. These psychographics, right? This is what's relevant to your client being seen and heard and understood. So Premium Messaging Made Simple addresses these deeper questions in two different ways. And one of the ways we're going to talk about today is you asking questions in your content. So most often when people come to me, they want to know what to say, how to say it, the cadence with which to say it. They want to know, like, how do I speak? How do I say, right? And if you think about being in a one-way conversation, I'm sure you've been there, I've been there, probably been guilty of doing it sometimes, when it's just this one-way conversation and the person is talking at you. They haven't asked you anything. They haven't asked your opinion. They haven't checked in to see, are you even interested? Are you following me? Are you tracking me, right? It's just this like verbal word salad vomit that somebody's doing to you. And we make that mistake of doing that very often in our messaging. So questions and devising questions thoughtfully, intentionally, powerfully is a huge, huge, huge part of your messaging plan. Let me see, where are we? Yes. So good questions are the fastest way to make your exact right client take action. And there are ways, let me see, I'm going to try one more time. Oh, you know what? I'm not. I was going to say I'm going to try to share the screen, but that's just going to be no bueno, I think. So I will get you this PDF file that has all the slides in it in the long run. Let me make sure. Can you guys tell me if I switch screens if you still have my video? Okay, great. Lots of you guys tuning in. Awesome. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through the process that I've created for making questions, for devising questions that are engagement driving, that are activating, that make people feel seen and heard. And the sneaky part is, the best part about asking questions is it also gives you future content, right? So it gives you more information about the language that they use and how they answer it. And you don't have to guess what's going on for them. You get to just ask the question and they answer. So when it comes to questions, the very, very, very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to think about retrofitting it. How can you sort of work backwards? So as you're creating these questions that are going to get you in communication, not just talking at your exact right client, what I want you to do is think of the intended result of the question first. So your intended result could be that you want them to just feel seen and heard and understood. That's good. That's good enough. I always use the example when I had my private practice a few years ago, and that was just like taking off. And every time somebody would come in, this wasn't a question that I asked, but it's that sense of being seen and heard and understood. They'd come in and be like the early session with me, first time, two times, something like that, and they would accidentally drop a swear word. And they would be so embarrassed and they'd say, "Oh, I hope it's okay if I swear. Is that okay?" And I would say, "Speak fucking freely." And you could see their shoulders drop and they just like got more present in the room because I was saying like, "Listen, I'm here with you no matter what. I want you to be able to be fully seen, fully heard, fully understood. I don't give a shit if you swear," right? And so that's the sense when you ask questions that are designed to make them feel seen and heard and understood. Think about that moment that I just shared where a client's like, "Oh, okay, I can let my guard down. I can let my shoulders down. I can feel safe here." That's one possibility of your intended result with questions. Another possibility is maybe you're trying to polarize. Maybe you're trying to repel. Maybe you are trying to just like agitate so that you get the wrong people out of your audience and the right people are like, "I'm with you here." I had one the other day, 2 days ago, totally accidental. I didn't even think about it. As like a question. It was just more of a statement that came on my head, and I was like typing it out real quick and said, I don't like the word mompreneur. Kind of drives me nuts. I didn't realize how polarizing that was going to be because I had some big feelings about it in my DMs later that day. And for every person who I repelled away, who was like, "How dare you? I can't believe you don't like mompreneurs," which I said I don't like the word mompreneur. But anyway, for every person who I repelled, I had at least one person, in fact, two in my DMs who were like, "All right, I'm working, like, we got to work together because like you're my vibe, you get me, you understand me." So my point is a question can be really designed to polarize in a way where you're sending the wrong people, the people who are not right for you, in the other direction, and you're pulling the right people in. Other ideas about what your intended result with questions could be is, let me see here. And like I said, I'll get you guys all this information so you have it right in front of you. But it could be perspective shifting. Yeah, so, you're asking them a question in a way that makes them go, never really thought of it that way. And so that's a huge step toward them being activated to work with you and to invest with you. Feeling part of a community, right? Just that sense of like, oh my gosh, there's other people who would answer this question the same way. There's other people. I've found my tribe. I found my group. So your biggest thing, again, when you're asking about, or you're asking yourself, how do I formulate these questions, is you want to think about the desired result and then work backward from that. So if you use that as your compass for creating a question, you cannot go wrong. The other thing is to keep it simple. So very often with questions, that are built to be engagement driving and attract their exact right clients, what I see people do is say something like, have you ever thought that your frequency could also doesn't just attract money, but it also can attract a partner? Question number one. And then they'll follow that up with, what would be different in your life if you attracted the right partner into your life? So question number two. So you can see how asking too many questions that gets too jarbled and it just confuses people. And so even if they are your exact right client, they're going to be like, oh, dang, my brain. I can't even take all that. My brain hurts. I'm not answering that question. That's like too much for me. So keep it simple. One train of thought, one way, one prompt that they can answer. The third thing is to be consistent with it. So when you're asking questions in your messaging, you are also subconsciously, you're establishing yourself as an authority figure, right? You're establishing yourself as a go-to. You're establishing yourself as somebody who is qualified to ask these questions, who has the insight to ask these questions. And so if you do that like once a month and you're like, my audience doesn't really, respond to my questions. They don't, I don't get a whole lot of feedback. I hear a lot of crickets. That's because you haven't had the cadence and the regularity and the consistency of really showing up. So asking questions regularly is going to get your audience, your exact right people, even more primed and like excited to answer. I know there's a few content creators that I follow and I really, really love, and I will pull their name up on my Facebook because I'm like, I wonder what kind of questions they asked today because I want to answer them, right? I feel part of a community. I am excited at the way that they ask these intentional questions. And so I'm there for it, just the same way your exact right clients are going to be there for it. So there's also something about the psychology with asking questions, about the psychology of planting seeds and not telling somebody what they need to do or what you think they should do or what their next steps are, but sort of slowly guiding them by making them think it's their own decision. As somebody who has a 2-year-old, I am so familiar with that psychology. And in a lot of ways, doesn't matter how old you are, if you're 2 or if you're 70, we like to think that the next steps that we're taking are that we have autonomy, that we, you know what I mean, that we created them by ourselves, that we're just like forming these ideas and this plan solo. And so if you think of questions as ways to gently sort of nudge your exact right client closer and closer to work with you, it's in their highest service because you can deliver the goods, and they're not met with this like, you need to call me today, you need to DM me today, you need to, right? So it's just a much more collaborative, organic approach. So the part about asking questions, I would say at least 2 to 3 a week. You don't have to overthink it. Again, go with your intended result, work your way backwards, focus on keeping it simple, and focus on consistency. And that is a huge way to start incorporating questions into your messaging right now. This feels like a good spot to come down here and check in on any questions that we have. Lots of hellos, awesome. Yes, awesome, awesome. Yeah, people hate being told what to do. It's just a human condition. And so I'm also a big fan of very clear calls to action that say like, hey, DM me today, so you can think of it as a balance so that you're not just constantly screaming at your exact right client with a megaphone saying like, you need to DM me yesterday. You're also like helping them get there. You're gently nudging them. This is one of the ways that working as a therapist has really served me in my messaging because I'm really, really good at asking questions. And you don't have to go through 6 years of graduate school to become a therapist to ask good questions. These 3 tips, starting with the intended result, keeping it simple, and being frequent are going to help you become a master question asker. And so, okay, so here we're going to go on to the next thing, and I'm going to give you, so stick with me because I'm going to give you a formula after I explain all of this about how probably subconsciously you are attracting the wrong people into your world. I'm going to give you a formula that's super simple to fix that starting today. Formula, for the record, is not about getting you scripted or making you into a robot. It's just a container so that you can be sure you're following a process that ensures you are attracting the right people. So most of the time, like the absolute biggest frustration I hear from people about their messaging is that it's just not working. Like it's just not working. Maybe they're attracting people, but they either just aren't like personality wise a really good fit. They monetarily aren't a good fit. In other words, they are sort of maybe dabbling in business. They're not super serious about it and therefore don't have the funds to invest in a high ticket. Or conversely, maybe you have a low ticket offer and you're dealing with people, you're repelling people who think that like they need to be further along, that they need to have this established business. So it's the frustration is that it takes so much freaking time, and the time that I'm spending, you know, working through and sifting through like who's qualified, who's the right client, sales calls that don't go anywhere, right? The list is endless, is that your messaging is just not bringing in the exact right people. um, and so what happens is you spend more of your precious time creating content and getting even more frustrated because you're like, well, if I could just create more, then I'll get the right people in because more people will see it, right? So it's just this like endless loop and cycle that can be interrupted when you just understand the psychology and the subconscious of what you're putting out there and who's coming into your world. One of my favorite examples of this was like maybe 2 or 3 months ago. I was working with somebody who came to me who all of their content was like, my free stuff is better than anybody's paid stuff. My free stuff is blank, blank, blank. And it was like, it was fabulous. And you know what this person who was attracting? I'm going to pause here because I want you to think about that. You already know who she was attracting. She did have a brilliant program. She could serve clients at a high level. She should have been selling a high ticket, high level, high touch program that was the thing she wanted to do. But she thought that if I just demonstrate how awesome my work is by saying my free stuff is better than other people's paid stuff, that's who she would attract. And you already guessed it, I'm 100% sure because you're smart. She was attracting freebie seekers. So her email list was like growing through the roof, but she had not one single high ticket sale to show for it. So she's so frustrated and she's like, I'm just creating more content and more free stuff and more events and more. And she's still not getting the ROI for it. So that's a pretty obvious one, but a lot of times the subtlety of who you're attracting and what you're saying is a little bit harder to pin down. Okay, yeah. So you're like unconsciously calling in the exact people you don't want to work with, or who don't want to work with you, or who don't have the funds to work with you. Um, so the way that we're going to diagnose this, and when you have the slides, this will all make a lot of sense too. So I'm really glad that you're going to get these in the long run, so you can see the formula. But the very first thing you've got to do is diagnose. It doesn't have to be a very long thing. I'm going to ask you to do that right now and just take 1 minute to think about the quality of the people who you are attracting. And when I say quality, I'm not saying like they're bad or wrong people. I'm not saying that they're low lifes and they should never even have the nerve to reach out to you. I'm saying that they are perfectly beautiful humans, not right for your offer. So when you think about the quality of the people who are in your online world, who are maybe reaching out to you, who are engaging with your content, who are asking like, hey, how can we work together? Think about what is the thing, what's the common thread here, right? And so I'm going to give you some examples to kind of get your noodle flowing with that. Let's see here. Okay, so some examples could be like, do they need help urgently? And so do they want you to fix it? Is it like they're coming to you saying like, oh my gosh, this is such a bleeding neck problem and you're my savior and you're the only one who can fix it? Because that's probably not the vibe you're looking for either, right? You know you can do great work, but attracting people who need you to fix it for them right away doesn't serve anybody really. Are they afraid to invest because, like I said earlier, they're just kind of like dabbling in business? It's an early thought. They're wondering like, could I do this? Could this be a thing? They haven't fully committed, and so they're not going to fully commit to an investment. Are they in the early stages of their business or their healing or their health journey, and they need a lot of hand holding, and you know that you do better with people who are 10 steps further down the road. So those are just ideas to get your brain spinning. I invite you to pop them in the comments. So is there anything right now using those examples, and that's just the tip of the iceberg, right? Everybody's niche is so different, but is there anything when you think of a diagnosis that you can think of about who you're attracting right now who is not a good fit? Go ahead and pop it in the comments for me. Yes. Awesome. Awesome. People who get it, perfectly aligned for my biz and product. Awesome. Okay. So once you've got your diagnosis, and this is a working theory, right? So there's nothing that is permanent about this. This is a process you're going to come back to again and again when things start to feel off. So once you've got your diagnosis, like I'm just going to use the investment because that's one that most of us can relate to, right? So you're saying, man, why do I keep getting these DMs? Why do I keep getting on sales calls with people who can't, who aren't far along enough in business that an investment makes sense for them? Why is this happening? Once you start understanding that diagnosis, you're going to use that in your content, and I'm going to show you how to do that. It's super simple. Simplicity always, always wins. And this is something you can come back to again and again. So, for example, the formula you're going to use is you've already blank, now you want blank. I'll pop that in the comments too in a little bit here to make sure that you're getting the exact formula. Now, of course, you can spice it up. Of course, you can put your own like flavor and special sauce on it. But when you think about this investment example I'm giving, right? You've already hit 10K months consistently. You want to do it by working 1 day a week less. You've already hit your income goals for the year. Next, you want to give yourself more vacation time every month, right? Something along those lines. So are you understanding, I'm going to come down here to the comments, how that formula, once you've diagnosed the messaging mishap, right, that fatal flaw in the messaging that's unconsciously bringing the wrong people in, you address it head on. So you start speaking to the person, to the exact right person you want to call in. If you know that person isn't somebody who's afraid of investing in their business, then say that, right? You've already been investing in your business. You already know the value of continued support as you grow your business. What you want now is blank. And that's when your unique, like your X factor, your USP starts to come in, right? You start to be able to really highlight what you do differently for those people who are at that stage of their journey. Let me know if you are with me here. Yeah, I'm attracting weight loss clients who are scared to invest more money. Yeah. Looking for a quick fix and beginning of personal journeys. Okay, great. So use that information. So it could be something like, let's see, how can we play with that? Looking for a quick fix and beginning of a personal journey. Okay. So for Martine, for example, what you could do is say something like, you've already spent years on your healing, right? You've already spent time and money on your personal journey. You know that there's another level that's calling to you. And so now you want XXX. And so it doesn't mean every single piece of content has to start this way, but you're starting to you're starting to introduce a steady stream of like, all right, she or he is saying, I've already got this thing. You know what I mean? I'm already here. You've already decided you're all in on your business. No more dabbling. Now you want blank, blank, blank. You've already decided that you want to lose weight and you're committed to doing whatever it is. So now what you want is expert help to help you take it to the next level. Now what you want is to understand how your insulin is affected by the foods that you eat, right? Now what you want is to revolutionize your relationship with food. Are you feeling me about how it doesn't matter what your niche is? The possibilities here are completely endless. Yeah. So let me check my slides here and make sure I'm not missing anything super important because I want to make sure this is very comprehensive. Any questions as I check the slides and make sure that we're hitting everything? If you have any questions for me, pop them in the comments and I'll make sure I come check them out to the best I can. Yeah. So that's the formula. And what I want you to understand is like how easy things this gets to be when you have a framework, when you have a formula, when you have like this repeat process. So it's nothing rinse and repeat about it. It's a container again. So a lot of people, especially in the coaching world, are sort of allergic to feeling like you're being what's what I'm looking for, like that your voice is being filtered out or that you're not showing up as your full self. My argument is that a framework like this, a process like this, having your messaging so dialed in allows you to show up as more of yourself. You're starting to speak more to your exact right clients. You're starting to weed out the people who are like at the very beginning of their healing journey, and you just know those aren't the people that you do your best serving. And so it really helps you to amplify who you already are. And going back to where we started, if you didn't catch the meditation at the beginning, once this video is over, go back in and give it a whirl, take it for a spin. But you're really starting to like tune into that station that is fully you, that's nobody else. That if it's not the exact right person, they're not going to want to listen to it anyway. So they're not going to waste your time getting on a sales call that doesn't convert. It's just a win-win-win for everybody when you're showing up in that full self space. And a framework like this is what helps you do it. Okay, I'm on my soapbox about that. Let me scroll down and check out any comments here. Some clients aren't ready to move forward and do the inside work. Yeah, exactly. So for you, Jennifer, with that example, it could be something like, you've already read about the 5 stages of grief, or you've already waited, if it's a time sort of thing, you've already waited, 2 years and you're still not, you've already given yourself time and space and felt all your feelings, is what I'm trying to say. And now you just know that you're not ready, you're not willing to just stay here. You want to actually like take your life to the next level. Yeah, you've done the cheap slimming clubs. Yes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so good, Chris. I really like that. That's a perfect example of this you've already done. Now you want blank formula. So like I said, this, you can see how much having this sort of a framework really allows more of you to flow and more of you to show up. And just making it so clear exactly who you're talking to, because you did not get into business to spend your life nurturing in the DMs or being on sales calls that don't go anywhere. It's part of business for sure. My whole thing is that it gets to be a much smaller part of your business. So I'm not saying that I never have conversations that don't go anywhere, or sales calls that don't become clients. Of course I do. But as I started to really dial my messaging in, I would say it happens once in a blue moon. Very seldom. Most often, I'm getting people, like I said yesterday, who are like in my DMs saying, oh my gosh, this thing you said, that's the thing. I have, like, let's work together. When can we start? And the reason I'm so passionate about this messaging work is because you get to have that level of ease in your business. You get to show up with that much clarity and that much authority and that much confidence and just like gusto, that people are magnetized to you. The right people are magnetized to you. So if this, like I said, I'm going to make sure, I'm actually going to just try to post the PDF that I created here inside of this event. If you don't get it, if you miss it, if for some reason it's kind of wonky, just shoot me a DM and I'll make sure that you get the slides, because they're very important. I had a feeling, this weird premonition. I'm like, I don't think those slides are going to work, but we tried our best anyway. So you've got your messaging, you've got your questions that you can start asking. Like I said, try to do at least a couple a week. Super engagement driving, keep them simple, do it consistently. And then you're going to be in the habit of diagnosing, maybe quarterly, maybe more often, of diagnosing like, okay, who am I attracting? What am I saying that's attracting them? How can I be even more clear that this is the person I want to call in? This is the person over here who's already done this thing and now they want this. And so, if you're in an early stage business, if you're somebody who helps people start up, you could say, you've already decided you want to lean into your business. Now you want to know the exact action steps to take. So, you see how it doesn't matter where they are, if they're brand new to healing or business, or their weight loss journey, or if they're like, 10 years down the road, it doesn't matter. You can use the same formula to plug in your zone of genius. So, I'm so glad you were here, and I'm so glad for the participation. I'm going to come through with a fine tooth comb and check out all the comments, all the questions, and make sure that you can come back and love up on everybody who is here. And the people who are watching on replay, same thing. I'm going to be super attentive to this live here for the next week until it comes down. So next, of course, you guys are not newbies to business. I would love to invite you into taking this even further, taking this a step further. So these are pieces of what we do in Premium Messaging Made Simple. And of course, there's so much more. So the truth is that you probably don't know your exact right yes client as well as you could. There's always ways to go deeper. There's always ways to understand them further, to attract them in, but also that changes the way that you show up in your content. It changes the stress level of your content. It makes sales calls so much easier, because they don't really have any questions coming into it. They're just saying like, all right, I know what you stand for. I know how you can help me. It's super clear. I know you're for me. Let's go. So the invitation here is a 30-day, sorry, this is where I'm like, oh shoot, where did I get left off? Is a 30-day premium messaging made simple. Some folks here in the group have already gone through it, had excellent results, like such a great program for nailing down your messaging. So what we do is we start with like a kickoff party is what I picture it as. It's a VIP session, 3 hours, you and me, one-on-one. We're going to sit down and we're going deep into your client's psychology, the stage of change they're in, what it takes to start moving them further along in that stage of change so that they start to feel activated. We look at your disruptor, right? How are you disrupting the industry so you're not just a commodity? You are you're the one. You are the one. And so having all of that becomes your framework. It becomes the container with which you show up. It's foundational. This work is foundational, not just for your business, but also for your energy and how you're showing up in the world and how you're showing up for your dream. So it's 30-day. After we do your VIP, you're going to send me unlimited content. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of like frameworks and trainings about creating content that matches the Premium Messaging Made Simple, the toolkit you're going to have. And then you get to work like a mad scientist, you creating content, anything that works for you, short form video, long form written content, it doesn't matter. You're going to send it to me and I will do unlimited content reviews for those 30 days. And then, of course, we're in touch via Voxer or Facebook Messenger. You have access to my whole entire library of trainings, all those good things. So there's just so much goodness packed into these 30 days. I just started doing them a few months back. They've been a hit so far. Tons and tons of ROI that people are getting from their investment. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in, my process is to send you a sales letter. So what I would do is you say, hey Ash, like that was really great, super interesting. I would love to know more about like what this looks like and if this is a fit for me. I send you my sales copy. You look through it, you see if it's a good fit or not. We do this all through the DMs, which is so brilliant for everybody, right? It just is such a good fit. So this is the difference. The other thing I wanted to tell you is that I've seen a whole lot of challenges about like, okay, I'm going to do a 30-day Reels challenge, or I'm going to do like some sort of live video every day for 30 days. These marathons, right? That you're just like sprinting through a whole entire marathon of content creation. And what I've found is that if you don't have your messaging nailed down, it's like my father-in-law, he's from Italy. And I have a lot of experience with this, where you're speaking two different languages. And instead of learning to speak the language, you just start talking louder because you think if I talk louder, they'll understand. And that's exactly what's happening with these other strategies like a Reels challenge or a live challenge, or, just like upping the quality or the quantity of your content so you can churn out more and more and more. It's like you're just talking louder to somebody who's not speaking your language. So, messaging, you guys, is the lever that makes things work or not work, and that is the nuts and bolts. That's like the the final kind of like boom statement, because it is just so true and it's just so important. I would love, love, love to have you in premium messaging made simple with me. There's always a place. Let me check one more time to see if there's any questions that I can answer real quick before we head off. Um, yeah. Awesome. Chris, thank you so much for saying that. Best money you ever spent in your business. It's been so much fun working with you. And I know that there is so much more fun to be had. So you guys have been fabulous today. Thank you for all of the hellos and the engagement and the ahas. And I cannot wait to hear from you in my DMs. Happy content creating, happy messaging, happy attracting your exact right yes clients. I'll talk to you very soon. Bye bye.